Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Outspoken Network, brought to you by the Sportscast. Got your hosts Brian, Jeff, and Craig on today. Guys, how you been?
Doing good.
Unmute that mic there. All right, awesome. Well, we got a special guest on today. His name is Paul. He runs the Bears Ski Film Show. Go check it out. Let's welcome in Paul. What's up, Paul?
What's going on, everybody? How
Thanks
are you guys?
Thanks for joining the show. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on. Like I said, just excited to talk some football. Been talking a lot of Bears, but it's nice to just talk general NFL content too. So yeah, appreciate you guys.
Of course,
Good to have you on.
No problem. It's good. Yeah, good to have you on. And even though you're a Bears fan, I won't hold it against you too much here.
Sounds good, man. Hey, throw whatever you got at me. I could take it. Don't worry about it. So
awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're going to talk about our top 5 NFL power rankings headed into the season as the season starts next Thursday night. We're going to do our top 5, and we're going to jump into the headlines of the week right after that. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what kind of teams we have here in the top 5. Maybe they're going to be different. Maybe they're the same 5. Let's do 1 to 5, I guess, because I don't know about y'all. Just like Patrick Mahomes, the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, I got the Chiefs number 1. I don't really think you can have anybody else up there. They continue to dominate. Even last year, when we thought they had an off year, they go and win the Super Bowl. So I think Chiefs have got to be number 1. And if you're not having them at number 1, then we might have something to talk about. But Paul, let's start with you, buddy. Who's your number 1?
Yeah, it's definitely the Kansas City Chiefs. And you know what? You guys said an off year, and it's interesting because it just depends on how you look at it. There's different phases of team building, and they're at a point where they have to pay guys, but instead of paying somebody they drafted in the 5th round, Tyreek Hill, they ship him away to Miami for some first round picks, and then sit there and get it done anyway. Like it's such a textbook layout for how you should be running a team after you've had some success and whatnot, because those situations change. So yeah, hats off to them. I don't think they're stopping anytime soon, mainly because Patrick Mahomes. And just a couple interesting things. It's like I believe his yards per average have gone down over the years, and it's not that he's gotten worse. He's starting to just take what the defense gives him and start trusting his guys to make plays and, make it easy, make it cookie cutter, but efficient. And then also rushing yards. The second he hits the playoffs, his rushing yards are through the roof because now he's willing to scamper around, get that first down. Now it's worth the hit, not during the regular season, but during the playoffs. Man, they're just such a smart team all around. I don't see how you can't have Kansas City at number 1. So
that makes total sense to me. I mean, I'd have to also agree. Last year, I kind of doubted a little bit because the offense was a little shaky. It's at parts and aspects of the season, and I think their defense was really good. That kind of bailed them out of a few times there. But whenever the lights are on and everything's ready to go and it's go time, especially in the playoffs, it's it's still a dangerous team. It doesn't matter if they've lost Tyreek Hill or if they've have a couple other rookies that I remember even during parts of the season where players were dropping the ball.
Right.
You'd have wide receivers open and the chemistry was off. I don't know, but that kind of there were some question marks for me a little bit going into the playoffs, but obviously those were laid to rest pretty quickly. So I think now that you give him a whole off season with these guys, I think you're going to see a completely different kind of trust with his wide receivers this time, especially with some of these young guys. So I think that Kansas City number 1 easily.
Do you guys think that was the best defense he ever had in his career there last year?
I think
it's got to be close.
I think it was. Just talked about it too, Jeff, a little bit. And it seems like, we say an off year, they were 11-6. The offense doesn't roll in as much, but the defense was. The defense kept him in those games. And it just seems like it's that way. If the offense is struggling, defense says, hey, I got you today. Very well coached. Andy Reid. This team is just a juggernaut. They're going to continue to be good. And they just like Paul said there, They're doing things the right way. They're not. I'm not going to overpay this wide receiver and Tyreek Hill. We kind of all thought was crazy. You're letting this guy go. They just find the next guy, and you got to be. That's how you got to build your team. They went and drafted the Buffalo Bills, gave them another wide receiver and Worthy from Texas. That's going to be something to watch out for. That connection this year alone in practice and everything is looking a little scary. His deep threat there with his speed. So him coming from Texas, really good wide receiver, and Buffalo gave it right to him. But Craig, do you have them at number 1 too as well?
Yeah. He just, like Paul said, it's everybody said that when they gave Mahomes the contract and when they gave Kelsey and they go start paying guys. They're not going to hang around when they start paying guys, and they made the moves that they needed to make to stay competitive and stay and they did it with less. And I mean, 2 years ago we sat here and said this is the worst wide receiver core he's got. He was going to have the biggest fall off, and we all had to run the apology bus right through Kansas City because he just proved us wrong. And so yeah, I mean, until again, just like the number one quarterback ranking, until us differently, they're going to be the number one team in football. I mean, maybe in a year or two, the division, maybe Denver, as they get Knicks affiliated to the NFL and maybe they make a run, maybe Harbaugh gives them a little, if he can do the same thing he did in San Francisco. I don't think that's this year.
Yeah, they got that. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy for any one of you three guys. Do you know how long it took Andy Reid to win his first Super Bowl?
A long time, which is crazy. I don't know how many years. How many years was it?
Probably
13 years.
More.
Over 13, 15.
Really?
More? Wow. What's the number?
21.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Guys, it just speaks like we're calling him a great coach, everything like that. He was fired at some point. It's kind of wild to think about when you actually think about it, but he is a damn good coach, right? However, it starts with the players. Like the fact that they got Patrick Mahomes out there is the reason why they're just dangerous, man. That kid is lights out. And just one more quick little thing. Like there's a story that Julian Edelman told. And Julian Edelman was a 7th round pick on the Patriots, and he said, he went to go work out with Brady the first time, and usually you would go work out with a guy and you'd get like 30 reps. It was like 75, 80 reps. He's like almost triple what I'm used to. So I'm exhausted. He's like, but throughout the whole thing, he's like, when I throw this pass, this is where the ball's going to be. This is where you're going to catch it. And he's like coaching me up. And Julian Edelman said that Tom Brady probably taught him more than any wide receiver coach he had as a 7th round pick, right? So when we're talking about the impact of a quarterback, and I know it's silly coming from a Bears fan, but trust me, I'm not learning from our quarterbacks, right? I'm learning from guys like Tom Brady out there and things like that. But like the impact and the ability of a quarterback, I mean, there's tiers to this, and the guys at the very top, it's such a huge gap between the guys in tier 1 and tier 2. So yeah, I mean, that's where Patrick Mahomes is at. He's on top of the hill right now. It's tough.
Oh yeah,
he's everybody's opponent.
Well, and I think Sean Payton was something that he had mentioned that, when he was with New Orleans, he wanted Patrick Mahomes, and he got pushed back on it. And then, Andy Reid swooped in and got him. And I was like, that's pretty wild.
It's crazy how he goes from college and people draft him and they're like, oh, this guy from Texas Tech. And then he blows up to be as good as he is. And
well, do you guys know that Andy Reid wanted Paxton Lynch? Yeah, so that story came out where he tried to trade up to the Broncos to get Paxton Lynch, and the Broncos denied him. And they said, I guess we'll just take Chris Long then. And then next year they trade up to get Mahomes.
It's all right.
The Bears saved him from himself. So.
The Bears took Trubisky over Holmes and Watson.
We're not talking about that, Brian. We're not talking about that.
Whew. That's tough. Sorry. I love, though, the first shot taken at the Bears is by yourself, so I appreciate that, Paul. I appreciate that.
It is what it is. It's our time now, though.
It might be. We'll get into that. We'll have to get into that in a little bit. All right, number 2, Craig. Who you got at number 2, bud?
Let's go. I can't. Again, I don't see anybody in their division giving them really any kind of a fan of Baltimore. I mean, they have a good team. Not a fan of their quarterback, so I kind of punish them on the the view of I'm not a big Lamar Jackson fan. That's really the only reason, because defensively they're stout and they're going to probably be around too. So, but that's I mean, if with signing Aiyuk back and having all their weapons, McCaffrey's been, when they got him, everybody said that was the missing piece, and he has been. They've been very unstoppable since they've got him, and that defense is very good. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I also have them there at number 2. I think they're the best team in the NFC. They got a stout defense. They've got one of the best coaches. He's probably the best coach in the NFC, in my opinion. He's really great at what he does. They bring back Aiyuk, which we'll talk about here in the headlines. That opens up their offense even more. That wasn't good news that he wasn't traded somewhere else. There's already talks about them moving on from Deebo Samuel, so you might see him traded this year because I don't think they have the money to pay all those guys. Interested to see if he goes somewhere, but the 49ers are just too good, and they're my kryptonite. Packers never beat them. Aaron Rodgers never beat them in the playoffs. Jordan Love's 0-1 against them in the playoffs. And they're just a good football team all around. Their defense was not getting a mouth. So I think Brock Purdy, we did our quarterback listens last week, top 10. He's came in and done a fantastic job there as well. And I think if he does it again, I think people need to put some more respect on his name. But I got 49ers at number 2. Paul, what about you, bud?
It's kind of funny. Like, you sound kind of like us Bears fans there for a second.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't stand the 49ers.
I didn't know you guys had that that kind of pain over there.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. Listen, I think it's very neck and neck for like the first at least 3-4 teams. And recency bias is recency bias. You know what I mean? Like, until we see more football, we only know what we last saw. Yeah. And Craig, I'm with you. I wasn't a Lamar fan. I wasn't. In fact, I think at the beginning of last year, my co-host asked me Lamar Jackson for Justin Fields. I was like, I don't know. Like, you'd have to really change your offense for Lamar for him to succeed. And I still think there's some type of upside to Fields. I still want to see it. And he was like, man, I'd give Fields in a first for Lamar. And then, well, come year's end, he's MVP again, right? So, he's got this thing where he's missing a couple games a year. I think he's only played 75% of his career. Yeah. But, I just can't keep doubting it. So it's like, I don't really like Lamar. I don't like the fact that he's dropped some weight. I think they've got one of the best coaching staffs there, and I think they've adapted a very average offense to his play style, and it's succeeded. Like, he's still kind of doing it without weapons, and so until he doesn't, I think I have to take the Ravens at number 2.
It's a good pick. They have a solid defense, solid coaching. I'm with Craig. I don't like Lamar Jackson very much. He was MVP last year, but I'm just not a big believer in him. And when playoff shows rolls around, he chokes most of the time. But he's also running into Patrick Mahomes over there in the NFC.
At one point, Peyton Manning had 2 MVPs and no Super Bowls too. So, it's an interesting spot for Lamar where he is in his career. But if he does go and win one and solidify, he will go down as one of the best quarterbacks. He just needs to actually go through and win one, right? And I also feel that just the AFC is so much stronger than the NFC that I have my top 2 teams as both AFC teams for that reason.
Jeff, who you got, bud? Number 2.
It is kind of a like y'all were saying before. It's kind of gets interesting after 1, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the 49ers, mainly because I think that there's a lot of interesting elements to that team. They're pretty consistent. I mean, they're always a thorn in someone's side, especially come playoff time.
Agreed.
Whether it's Dallas, whether it's Green Bay, there's always something about this team that's fascinating, that they seem to do something different when it comes to playoff atmosphere. Just getting a lot out of players that you wouldn't normally think about, as especially Brock Purdy. That's one right there. It's there's still this kind of, is he a great quarterback, or is it the system that he's in? Same with Lamar Jackson. Is he a great quarterback, or is it the system he's in? And so getting Aiyuk back, I think, is super important. And Deebo Samuel, we'll see. I mean, he's still has that threat. He still is a threat. And, it's something that teams definitely try to target and, either try to take him out of the game or something. But he is one of those threats where our defenses are going to be honing in on him. And so it does leave other options open. So I based off of just the consistency, I really, really like the 49ers. It's hard for me not to until we see more football being played by them this year. I like what they're doing. I was kind of rooting for them. So that's kind of who I'm going with. I know, Brian.
I don't like him one bit. I respect him though. It's funny because they got McCaffrey, and when they first got McCaffrey, I said, "Oh, he's injury prone. He's not going to work out." Well, he's been healthy. Actually, I think Deebo Samuel's been more injury prone than McCaffrey has. So they have two basically McCaffreys. Deebo Samuel's really good, so I'd take him on the Packers team any day of the week. But
some of that to me is also the way they're coached.
Oh, definitely. Shanahan's the best coach.
I love the way Shanahan coaches his team, how, and the positions he puts his players in. So, yeah, I just, until somebody figures out the 49ers, it's hard for me to go against them.
Yeah. No, he is a really, really great coach. I like their GM too, John Lynch. I think they're pretty aggressive. They go out and get people. They finally signed Aiyuk back, but I got, I talk about Lamar and I don't like him, but I got the Ravens number 3. I think you can't really look too far past this team. They have a great defense. They've always had a really good defense. And Lamar's good enough to get the job done. He was MVP last season. I don't know if he has an MVP level season again. I don't think he's going to be, his body's wear and tear for the back-to-back MVP seasons. He did take some weight off, so he might be a little bit slimmer. Interested to see what they do with Derrick Henry. He's a little past his prime, but we'll see how they can work that in. But the Ravens are just too good of a team not to have them in the top 5 especially, but they're number 3 for me, even though I'm not a big Lamar fan like Craig. But Craig, who do you have at number 3, bud?
I can't go much lower with them. I tried, but I just don't. The other 2 teams that I have in the list are going to be kind of wild card and hard to put them over Baltimore. Pence carries that team. Lamar doesn't have to do as much as other quarterbacks to games. If he puts up 20, that's normally probably pretty close to enough, whereas other guys got to put up 35 and 40 sometimes. You just don't see the Ravens ever really let up a ton to anybody. It doesn't really in every game, and when you're in every game like that and you have a guy that can kick the ball 65 yards, 66 yards, if you're in the game, then it shortens the field. I have the Ravens at number 3.
All right, Jeff, who you got number 3, bud?
I'm going with Ravens. I'm not a big Lamar fan. I like the Ravens have always just been consistently a defensive minded team. And they kind of continue that narrative. So it's fascinating to me that Lamar has had such success with this team, the way that they're designed and defensive really first. And then you have this guy who was kind of a dual threat dude, runs the ball well. And then there's times where he does throw well. And then there's times where I think he reverts back to just tucking it and going. So I think and that's the question is if Lamar was on any other team, would he have this success? And I don't know, but I don't think he would. So it's hard it's hard for me to not put them in that anywhere below the 3 mark, because of just the consistency. They do typically are in the playoff mix a lot. They are a threat defensively, but Lamar is a weapon you have to constantly be keeping an eye out when you play him. So there's nothing about the Ravens other than just a question mark as to if you start to figure out Lamar Jackson, do you take this team? Is this team done? And so, yeah, also the Derrick Henry thing, that's fascinating to me. How much does he have in the tank is the big question mark. Health, as you start aging, as a running back, it's one of the toughest positions to keep going at an older age. So, and then I think you had mentioned that he had lost weight. That's kind of a concern to me, mainly because that you kind of run that risk of, he's going to be lighter on his feet, but he's also going to be prone to getting injured.
Well, and it's just not his running style. He is known for
Exactly.
running through people, not running around
Right.
people.
Exactly.
So if you lose the weight, can you still do that? I mean, he's
Yeah.
never avoided a tackle. He's stiff armed people. He's ran through them. And if you lose weight, do you still have that kind of ability?
Yeah,
Or are you
and I
going to
wonder
change your whole running style to try to now be the agile guy?
exactly. Yeah, and that maybe that's a way to that they think is maybe going to be a deterrent from being hurt or not. So, but I can't deny how good the Ravens have been, and when it comes to one of the top teams, I'm not a fan of Lamar, but I can respect the team itself as a whole and respect how good they are. So they're at 3.
All right, Paul, who you got number 3, bud?
Can't just give you my number 3. I have to babble for a little bit, okay?
That's
so
fine with me.
I
Babble
just
all
have
you
to
want.
say one more thing about the Ravens, but to say it, I'm going to start off with just a situation I had recently where somebody was talking to me about Justin Fields, and they were giving me the excuse of, hey, well, we didn't put the right offense around him. We didn't put the right scheme around him. We didn't do him justice. And I kind of like popped my lid a little bit, and I was just like, there's only one fucking team in the NFL that's willing to do that, and it's the Ravens. Like, to put the right system around Justin, you have to be. It takes a lot because 90% of this league runs of derivative of the Sean McVay offense, pretty much. You know what I mean? So, like, most people are going to run a certain kind of offense, and there's very few teams like the Ravens. And Harbaugh's such a great coach. I believe he passed on Lamar the first time and got him at the last pick of the draft. I believe they traded back and still got him. And so they were willing to do something over there that's really, I mean, it's just like a lesson on coaching, in my opinion. And so, one of my favorite teams always to watch was the Patriots. And the one thing about the Patriots that you always heard is they just put the right guys in the right position. Just do your job. Just, you know what I mean? Anybody that went there had success because they were only asked to do a certain thing at a certain time. And they were good at that thing. You know what I mean? So they were put in positions to succeed. I feel like the Ravens do that now. I feel like even with Derrick Henry and things like that, like I feel like they're just going to find a way to put those players in position to do what they do best. And I'm pretty confident of that just because of their coaching staff and what they've shown they're capable of doing. But all that.
They build their system around the players instead of having a system and then saying, hey, you have to fit my system. That's a lot of coaches do. And then they draft some guys and the coach doesn't get to draft a team and they get this ownership that drafts people for them. And they're like, I can't really use this guy. This is not kind of how my system runs. A good coach makes a system for the players he has to get the best out of them. And you're exactly right. The Ravens, I think, dumb down the offense for Lamar, make it more simple, and they have their own system for Lamar to succeed there.
Right. And I mean, and so that's where I never had much faith in the Bears being able to do that for Justin Fields, who needed something similar. But I mean, at 6'4", 220, 230 pounds, running as fast as Tyreek Hill, like there's got to be a way to be able to utilize that in the right times. And early on, even with him, I said, like, this is great, but it's in the first quarter. Like, why don't we do this at the end of the game to win and things like that? And it just never happened. But my number 3 pick, though, I'm just going to flip up with you guys. It's the 49ers.
Yeah, I figured that would be it. So.
Yeah, and I actually want to throw a curveball at you guys as if I haven't already. I have 6 teams listed. Top 3 AFC, top 3 NFC. So I don't know if you guys want to go down that route. But I feel like the good conversation is really towards the back end of this thing. So, I actually have a number 5 and a number 6. So if you guys want to do that.
Okay.
But, I think the 49ers, they're in a position kind of like the Rams were a year or two ago where they've gambled enough. They gambled and lost and they gambled and won. And, I mean, there's so few teams in this league are able to trade up for a 3rd overall pick and then be able to get rid of that guy and still move forward. I would actually argue that might be one of the reasons why they haven't won one. Because that has to hurt you, and you barely saw it with that team. It's still a playoff team every year; they're still competing, but time's about to be up. Like they've pushed their chips in a lot. I think they got another year before this thing starts really falling apart on them. So I think 49ers have to. There's got to be a lot of motivation there for them to succeed this year.
Yeah, it's with that team. It's Super Bowl or bust. Getting there is not just going to cut it. It's we need to see something. We got to see a Super Bowl ring in our hand next year.
You know, it's a cool
Pretty
story,
much.
guys. I don't know if you know this or not. Kyle Shanahan, he used to babysit Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
his
heard
dad
that
was the
story.
coach, and Christian's dad was a player, and yeah, so that trade was a little more than just an NFL trade. It was personal a little bit too. I think that's part of the reason why they were willing to give up what they gave up for him. But
A little
yeah,
side note
it's gotta come through. Yeah, what's up?
with McCaffrey. It's funny. I was at the grocery store like a couple years ago when I first moved here, and I'm just down the aisle looking at barbecue sauces, and here's Ed McCaffrey's barbecue sauce. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then I found out we were in Castle Rock, and they were like, yeah, they used to live in Castle Rock. I'm like, oh, I was like, I don't know, that's pretty wild.
That's cool.
So
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan's dad has a record at a high school, maybe a mile or two away from me. He used to live here. Yeah.
All right, our number 4. Craig, kick us off. Who's your number 4 team? I think it gets interesting more.
This
at the
is
back
where
end of
this
these.
is where it comes off the rail, boys.
What we have do you have the Green Bay Packers there? Like, yeah,
No, I do not. I do not. Probably going to catch just as much heat for who I do have there as I would if the Packers were there. Houston Texans. I absolutely crucified this kid when he came out. To what I've done to Paul drafted for reasons. I didn't think he had the skill level to come the NFL, whereas I believe Caleb Williams has the skill level. I just don't believe Caleb Williams has the work ethic. He's going to have to show a little bit more on that aspect. But I blasted CJ Stroud and said, you're just like every other Ohio State quarterback that ever has come out into the NFL. You will do nothing. The Houston Texans will continue to spiral for years to come. And he walked in the door and said, here, and we're going to do things my way, and became the leader of that team the day he walked in the door. First one in, he was the last one out. He got with wide receivers. You saw him go and take these wide receivers down to high school football fields and backyards and go and work with them, and that's why they instantly have chemistry. They've made some moves to upgrade that offense. They've made some moves to upgrade that offensive line. The defense, obviously, with the picks they had in the past, does he have the sophomore slump that you hear? And now people have some tape on him. Do they figure him out? We'll see. But right now, he did everything that to prove me wrong. And normally I'm not too far off on the quarterbacks, but I was off on that one. And so Stroud gets the vote.
I don't think you're going to catch any flack for that. I think Texans are a really good football team. I could easily see them being in the top 5.
And that's where I thought I would catch the flack was it's a little early.
Well, that's like last week we were talking about quarterbacks, and Ryan's like, Stroud's got to be in the top 10. I said, I need to see it one more year. I just why I didn't put Love in there. I got to see it one more year. You can't just go off 1 year. I have the Lions at number 4. The Lions are my number 4 team. They got a good defense. I really like their head coach. As weird as that's to say that I like another coach in my division. Goff had a great year last year. I think a lot of people don't really give him the respect he needed last year. He deserves some respect. They got a good running game. They got great offensive weapons. They're going to be at the top of that division this year, fighting between the Packers to win it. A lot of people already said it's the Lions division to win. I think Packers will come pretty close to winning it, if not. But Lions are a good football team. I hate to say it, but they're just too good. St. Brown's a great wide receiver. I mean, a top 5 wide receiver, good running game, good head coach. I hope he has a bad year this year, but he had a really good year last year, and I'm glad they were able to beat the Rams in the playoffs last year. They should have beat the 49ers and went to the Super Bowl, but that is it. But I might get flack for the Lions being that high, but I just thought they were really solid last year, and I think they're going to be a 10, 11, 12 win team this year as well. So, and the roster just says they're going to be good if you're going by what they did last year and the roster that they got. But Paul, do you like their head coach?
I like their offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I look at it as more of like that Atlanta situation where Kyle Shanahan was there calling the plays. They made the Super Bowl. They lost against the Patriots, but they had that 28-3 lead. And then look, Kyle Shanahan goes to San Francisco. success. Meanwhile, Atlanta just kind of dwindles away to nothing. So, like,
who is their offensive coordinator? What's his name?
Who's
the Lions?
Ben Johnson. So
That's
he
right.
was offered some head coaching positions.
Yeah, he turned him down.
And he turned him down. He came back, and for me, that was going to be the biggest factor on whether they keep having success or not. And listen, I like the head coach, but that rah-rah style, that rah-rah mentality, it works when you're winning. Second you start losing, man, we had like club dub going on over here. After, you know what I mean? After you lose 3 in a row and win one, woo, club dub. No, that shit doesn't work, man. You can't hype these guys up when you have a losing record. So it's nice when it's all going well, but the second it doesn't, and the other thing about them is like there's aggressiveness and there's stubbornness. And like there was that one game where they went for it on 4th down, like over and over and over.
They kicked the field goal.
Lose.
Just take 3 points.
Just God damn it, like. You serious? You know what I mean? And so those are the things that kind of draw me back a little bit from that coaching staff. But if you're asking me if I have them at 4, I don't. I told you I have a top 3 NFC and a top 3 AFC, but I still got to look at the roster up and down. I mean, I don't know. I went so back and forth on this one. I really did. You know what? Actually, fine. I'll give it to the Lions because of their coaching staff still being consistent, because their window is still open. It's just, it boggles my mind because the Rams literally got rid of Goff so they could win. But I guess maybe, I mean, I don't know. Kirk Cousins 2.0 in my opinion, but
I've not been a big fan of Goff, but he had a great year last year.
He did have a great year. I'm not
my question is, was it he found something, or was it let's muster up to back up the Brinks truck? People seem to play out for contract.
I was at a Monday night game at Soldier Field in December, Bears-Rams. We won that game like 15-9. I mean, he could just not move the ball in the cold at all. And I just remember seeing him like, whatever. Like, I don't know. And same thing with like Kirk Cousins. It's like when it gets, to the most critical moment, you're in the playoffs, 4th and 8. What do? You throw a 3-yard up and out to the tight end and hope he makes a play. Meanwhile, you have Justin Jefferson. Like, just give him a fucking 50-50 pop-up ball at that point. But you're not going to because you're Kirk Cousins. Like, I kind of feel the same thing about Goff. Like, okay, sure, he's had a good regular season in the clutch, in the most critical moment. Can he do it? The Rams didn't think so. And they went to a Super Bowl with him.
Yeah.
So, that's my big reservation on them. But, yeah, I'll give them at number 4.
All right, Jeff, go ahead, bud. Who's your number 4 team?
Oddly enough, it is going to be the Bears. I did like,
the Bears.
Not the Bears. I'm seeing the Bears behind him, and then I'm saying,
killing me. Got me excited. I was like, this is just like that Jordan Love prediction last week.
No, the Lions. The Lions.
Yes, the Lions.
I was like, wait a minute.
Brian almost had a heart attack. They're going to do it.
Even I was like, wait, what?
This
guy's like,
Paul's like, now this guy's just trolling me.
I wasn't. No, it's the Lions. I liked what they did. I was kind of rooting for them. There was one of those kind of, Cinderella story kind of deals last year where it was, this team hasn't done nothing for so long. And it was kind of exciting to see that go. I guess the question mark is, can they repeat this? And the fact that they have kept the same staff intact, that it's important, that kind of got them to that point, I think is super critical. I will agree with that, analysis for sure. So not the biggest golf fan too much, but I do like their defense. I love their coach and the way he, puts everything in place for them. And so I like the defense was really good. So overall, I don't see, it was tough for that one. That is one of those flips that could have gone either way. But I hope that now that they kind of kept everything in place, I hope that continues, and I'm hopeful to see that. So that's one of the reasons why I have them at 4. I do think that it was fun to watch, in the playoffs. So I kind of want to continue seeing that. So yeah, I got them at 4.
This is an NFC North question for Paul here. Who do you got winning the division this year? And don't say the Bears.
The Lions.
Yeah.
Listen, I have us at 9 and 8, but the stubbornness in me has me sweeping you guys. The more realistic thing is probably we go 1-1 with you and 1-1 with the Lions.
Split.
But I'll take 0-2 to the Lions if I could get 2-0 on you guys.
Hey, look,
yeah, that's important to us.
I felt so bad.
We need to see the change.
I felt so bad for my buddy Brandon. He picks me up. It's the first game, Bears versus Packers last season, and he talks all this crap on the way to the bar. He's like, "This is our year, man. We're about to dominate you. This is our year. I'm telling you." And I'm sitting there eating my chicken wings, and we're up 30 something to something. I'm like, I'm just laughing. It was just funny.
You want a bad story? I'll give you a bad story.
Give you a bad story?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So
let's hear it.
One of the I think it was like the fourth coldest game, late December, towards the end of the year, and me and my two brothers-in-law, my wife's brothers, one of them has 2 kids, and he lives up in whatchamacallit, in Wisconsin at Lake Geneva, right? So the one kid, the older one's already turned to a Packer fan. The younger one's still salvageable, right? So I think he liked like Cincinnati or some bullshit at the time because he played Madden and whatever. But we take him to the game. And yeah, I know you like that. That's a good term. So he's not. He's going to be broken for life if he listens to us. But so we're sitting there, and it's the fourth quarter, and we tie this game up, and we're freezing our asses off. And the kids are like, we want to go home. We're up in the nosebleed sections. We don't care. And we're just telling them, like, listen, this is what being the man's about. Like, we're going to sit here through another however, many minutes of this freezing ass weather and endure it because we just tied this game. We're going in a damn overtime, and we're going to win this thing, and we're going to take it home. And you know what I mean? And we're giving them these rah-rah speeches, and all of a sudden, there's like 30 seconds left in the game. Aaron Rodgers drops back. It was like 60 yards to Jordy Nelson. I'm just like, he won't even let me fucking freeze my ass off. He won't even let me freeze my ass off.
Greatness.
No, dude, it scarred me like that.
Randall Cobb as the bear killer.
I'm sure those kids were just
Ryan's back.
We're not being fans of this team, right? It's rough, man. It's rough.
Ryan's
some rough moments.
Ryan says the love top 3 is madness.
Yeah, I made my wife stay up and watch games. Like, no, we're gonna beat them. We're gonna beat them. At the end, it was like Thanksgiving or something. I'm like, I'm sorry, just go to bed.
Let's go.
It's been bad. It's been bad for us.
It's been bad.
I mean, Brian's been on. He's gone to a Cowboy game and watched Aaron Rodgers just like last second touchdown. I was
at the game when Aaron Rodgers was hurt and Matt Flynn came back from 26 points at halftime to win the game. It's greatest.
All the Cowboys crying out there.
And it's funny because I don't know who I hate more, the Bears or Cowboys. Like, Bears are my rival, and I grew up with so much cocky Cowboy fans living in Texas.
Sorry, Craig. Craig's not a cocky Cowboy fan.
No, Craig's not one of us. No, Craig's pretty realistic for the most part. But anyways, all right, let's get to our top number, our 5. Craig, I got the Texans right here. I fought on putting them in, and I said, look, I got to do it. I think they're going to grow this year. C.J. Stroud, I was just like you. Every Ohio State quarterback comes out, and then they flop, and he proved us wrong. This defensive coaching staff is great. This defense is great. This team is just too good. I think they run away with their division this year, as their division is not very good. And my only concern is their big pickup in the offseason, Diggs. Great wide receiver, but he's selfish.
Diva.
He can be a cancer. So I really want to see how that relationship grows.
I don't think Stroud feeds into that. I think Stroud will put him in his place and say, "You'll get when you're open."
Yeah, I think so too. I think he'll be the leader. I think he obviously already is a leader, but I think he'll shut that down and go from there. But I got the Texans at number 5, and I don't think you can have them too much further out of there. I mean, they're definitely a top 8 to me, in my opinion. But I got him at 5, and Stroud's fun to watch. He's one of those quarterbacks I'll turn on to watch. Let's go with Jeff. Jeff, who's your 5?
So I'm going to kind of stick with that, but I think for different reasons. I like Houston, but and Stroud's awesome, and the offense is great, but I do like the way they play their defense. Their defense is really good. I like the coach that they have. That was one of the coaches. I was one of the finalists that was rumored to come to Denver. He decided not to and ended up in Houston. I mean, and awesome for him. I mean, he ended up in a really good spot, and he's developed He's actually, I think he actually took some of our defensive players with him, and he had an amazing defense when he was with the 49ers. So it's like he's developed a really good team there. With obviously the offense as good as it is with Stroud and the excitement there, but I really like the way this team plays defense. So, I'm a big defensive guy. I just like watching good defenses. So I'm just going to stick with them. And, the cherry on top is Stroud. Or cherry on top is this offense and the excitement with that and the excitement to see it mold into something better than it was last year, which is pretty wild to think. So you're getting a CJ Stroud that is going to be more mature now, 1 year in, one more year in, and which is actually fascinating to see how he evolves and becomes a better player. So that's where I got Houston in that spot, but for a little bit different reasons.
Ryan Sims has the Cowboys a top 5 team. Ryan, let's stop being a homer, buddy. They are not a top 5 football team. They're just not. They're not. All right? They're not. Top 10, yes. Top 5, I can't see it. And he also says it's funny because he says he was at a Cowboys-Packers playoff game, and I know we all know. I think it was this last year,
was
Ryan?
it this last year?
I think it was.
I feel bad.
He also
Can I
says,
give you my problem with the Cowboys?
"Oh, please, let's hear it." Well,
Dalvin.
And
like
that's
the whole
it for
season.
tonight, fellas.
Craig's
Sorry,
like,
Craig.
"Hey, see you later, buddy."
Sorry, Craig, but it's like the whole season. The games went one of two ways. You're either blowing teams out or you're getting blown out, and you became very one dimensional. And that's why the Lions scared me, because the Lions found different ways to win games. I mean, we had 4 turnovers against them, and they still came back and won. So like,
Well,
being
you're the
able
Bears.
to win, I know, but we're not talking about my team. We're talking about the Lions finding different ways to win against different opponents.
You're right.
No matter who those opponents were, that kind of is a dangerous thing to me. So the second it got like the Cowboys were 10 points down, I was like, oh, dead in the water. I've seen this before all year. And
well, that's a McCarthy. That's a McCarthy staple. Is he wins the games he kind of not supposed to, but then he never wins the games that he's supposed to. Know which team he's going to have show up. I
don't know why the reason is, but that's the one thing that I noticed that had me saying, hey, if this team just gets down 2 scores, they're not coming back.
Yeah. Mike Zimmer will be the head coach next year, and McCarthy will be fired. Already guaranteed.
McCarthy will be fired, but Belichick will be the head coach. It's already in. That deal is already done. I can tell you.
You know what the rumor is? No, the rumor is McCarthy fired Dion in Dallas with his son as the quarterback because Dak won't be there next year. I'm like, all right, guys.
You'll never be able to.
There's some pie in the sky there.
Jerry would take it because it would get you all talking. But,
I might jump right off the wagon if Shadir Sanders is my quarterback.
No.
All right, Ryan, we need to have an argument here because
can I say one thing?
Really an argument.
Can I say one thing that Ryan put on here that is like, I don't know why you did that to yourself. Most wins since 2019, not named the Chiefs.
Great. Come if you want to be good
is that an
example
season, or that you want to be compared to? Yeah.
Does it matter? This is Well, here's the problem, Ryan, and you need to jump on the show and talk about this at some point. I agree. Zimmerman's a good defensive coordinator. Y'all had a top 5 defense last year. How much better are they going to get? I mean, I don't know. And Dak, I didn't know that until like 2 episodes ago when Craig pointed it out, and I was like, wait, Dak had a top 5 defense last year, and they couldn't go anywhere in the playoffs? That is saying something.
My one question about that is, when did Romo have a top 5 defense? Or did he
maybe the year that they were the 1 seed and lost to the Giants? I'd have to look it up, though.
But okay, how about this? In 2010, the Chargers had a number 1 overall defense and a number 1 overall offense. And I think they went 9-7.
Yeah,
because they had the 32nd special teams in the league, and it's a team game, right? So, like, listen, financial allocation is huge. Dak's taking up way too much money. He's taking up way too much money. It's got to be on him. And like I told you guys earlier, it took Andy Reid 21 damn years to win a Super Bowl. It wasn't until he got Patrick Mahomes. So at some point, like, I'm not saying that the coaches are great over there. They're not. But if they're winning regular season games, then they know how to win. At some point, it does kind of fall on the players. And especially if you look at how the finances are allocated, Dak's taking up a lot of that. So No, it's funny. I did this quarterback cap percentage analysis where I went back the last 10 years, took the top 10 paid guys, and just found a percentage of how much of the cap are they taking up. And you go back 10 years ago in 2014, listen, the percentage stayed kind of the same until this last year. This last year was whack. Yeah. But in 2014, the top 8 guys either won a Super Bowl, have been in a Super Bowl, or like are making a Super Bowl run. Whereas this last year, the top 4 out of 5 guys have no business being there. And the only one that was there was Matthew Stafford. But like Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones. I forget who the 4th one was. But it's
the
like,
Giants are dumbasses for Daniel Jones.
Business getting paid that much money because they haven't backed it up with playoff success. And so, like, listen, Brian, I'm going to toss this trivia your way. When Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, who was his head coach?
It was McCarthy.
Okay, who was his offensive coordinator?
I do not remember.
Joe Philbin. Remember that guy?
That's right.
For 2 years and like dwindled away to nothing because he sucked. Yeah. And then
that's why I
he
forgot
was also the most sacked quarterback that year. So listen, a great quarterback has shown that he can win you one despite obstacles in front of him. But if you want continued success, you need a good coaching staff and good talent and a good quarterback.
We won that Super Bowl. Despite
all on Aaron Rodgers' shoulder. Yeah, for sure. You did. And so, like, I don't see Dak Prescott doing it despite Mike McCarthy now. I just don't. Like,
no. And ever since Dak's been in the league,
but he's not that good.
He's needed. They called him Silver Spoon Prescott because he had a lot of weapons. He needed a lot of help. And I'm going to sound like you probably think I'm Dak hating. Dak's I have him a top 5 quarterback, but he's not the guy to take you to the Super Bowl. It's just not going to happen. But and then I don't know how we got on Cowboy talk. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
But this next offseason will come down to, we're going to be talking about Dak a lot because it'll be what team is he playing for next year. And Dallas going to pay him. Someone else going to pay him. Someone else would pay him. But we can save that for another week. Did we get everyone's top 5?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Am I the last one or Craig?
You can go. I can go. Doesn't matter.
You go because I have a top 5 and 6, so I'm gonna.
I got
you guys?
I got the Lions. I mean, I was very close to those two teams together. Could flip flop them at any point in time. And being kind of new last year, the Texans being new last year, both teams are going to have to come out this year and prove it again to be able that wasn't a fluke, that wasn't lightning in a bottle. I don't think it was for either team. But interested to see if Goff, was it for the money, was it for the paycheck, or was it he found something with that offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson that clicked and is
absolute beast,
picking himself up to be a top wide receiver. And Williams, if he could stay off the gambling and stay off suspension, is a stud. Core, they had some really good running backs. Their offensive line, for the first time all in years, was actually played together for more than like 3 games. I just wonder if they face a little adversity, they handle that. That Nago might be a little better now that Green Bay, because they thought really honestly they thought we're good. Everybody else is trash. We got this division on lockdown, and all of a sudden here comes Jordan Love the last 8 games of the season, and now Caleb Williams comes in preseason. And was he playing against guys that weren't going to make the roster when he looked good? Maybe. We'll find out. But if he looks anywhere like he did in preseason, it's going to get real interesting for the next few years, and Detroit's not going to have the run that they thought they were going to have for they thought they were going to be ahead of the pack for a couple years, and it might be a dogfight.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you guys my number 5 and my number 6, both the third teams in the NFC and the AFC, right? So I can't leave out the Eagles. I don't think they'd be my number 5, though. I think they'd be my number 6. But I just see a very complete roster, a team that's very well built and very all around. I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts fan, but they're not asking them to do everything. And so, like, I don't know. I think the Eagles are still somebody to reckon with. And
they're my number 6 team.
Yeah, we can't just.
My question is, Hurts lost the locker room last year, I believe. And
possibly. And I
interested to see if they play with him or play against him. Because I think they were 8-0, 9-0, and then all of a sudden just imploded.
Yes, they
and,
did.
and they were talking about Hurts getting knocked out in the tunnel by his own guys, and I don't know if any of that's true, but
we as Bears fans, we went from Vic Fangio to Sean Desai. They went from Sean Desai now to Vic Fangio. I think they got the better idea there because Vic Fangio is a legit defensive coach.
Yes.
So I think they've made that turnaround in those areas, and I have to give him my number 5 spot, but my number 6. I have to give him my number 6 spot as an honorable mention. But my number 5 spot is the Jets. I think if Aaron Rodgers has anything left in the tank, I think that's a very, very complete roster. To see them third in 100%. The AFC would not surprise me, and I feel like they're also another team that's do or die all in. So either this year or not. So I got.
They win that division this year, in my opinion.
Me too.
I'm really
so
high on
I got them as my number
Jets.
5 team. So ahead of the Texans, I'll take Aaron Rodgers and the damn Jets.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers does have some left in the tank if he can keep his Achilles from ripping in half. Ryan's hating over here.
I hate it.
Ryan's hating over here with the Eagles.
Yeah,
yes, the Eagles have a great roster. You cannot say that they don't. But that ownership.
Okay.
Or this one.
I don't think
it's hot take if the Packers fall off. There's a lot of people underestimating the Packers this year. You talk about sophomore slump with Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud.
I think you could.
This new defensive coordinator.
Yes,
you could see it.
Losing points.
Yes.
I think the division beats up on itself.
But if it does, you only sign them for 3 years guaranteed, so that's not too bad.
Oh yeah, you have outs.
You still have outs, and you still have options moving forward. And they were one of the youngest teams last year to make the playoffs. One of the youngest teams. Period. I think maybe
we are the youngest team in the NFL.
So, and then it's hard to sit there and point at where'd you take a step back necessarily.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So it's rough.
I
hear you.
We're only going to gain more experience, more time together. I think Matt LaFleur is very underrated head coach in the NFC. I'm interested to see what our defensive coordinator from Boston College comes in and does his defense. It can't be any worse than the last guy. I forget his name, but he was terrible.
Oh, believe me, it can.
Terrible. It probably can. But
all right, guys, thank you so much for having me on. Though I do have to get going. So
you have to get going.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's
long show tonight.
Appreciate you guys. Sorry about all the chatter, but
awesome. Nice to have you on.
That's what we're here for.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks, Paul.
Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, guys, let's get into the.
I didn't say my last one.
Hold on. Wide receiver by committee has never worked before. That's what makes me skeptical. That's a whole conversation I want to have with you guys on a different show because it's never been done, but it's working out for Green Bay, and why is that? Sorry, Jeff. What's your number 5, buddy? Sorry, we're in an hour and we haven't got out of our.
Oh no. So no, and honestly, it's probably gonna cause some stir. I know Ryan just wanted to do crying face all over the place, but
Eagles.
It's the Eagles. And the reason why, I don't know what the drama, how real the drama is between the locker room and Hurts, but I will say this. I do like the defensive direction this team's going. I like Vic Fangio. Always was a fan of Vic Fangio when he was the coach here. He did amazing stuff with almost just draft picks. And so if you even take a look at what they did in the draft, I like what they went defensive heavy, big time. That was easily Vic Fangio right there. So what he was able to get out of a team with, not great picks or, not top talent was he basically turned that defense into from not great to one of the top defenses that in the years that he was their coach. So, offensively we struggled obviously, but he was a big part of, going up against Dak and the Cowboys. I remember that was the defense, Vic Fangio, when we played them. I don't remember if it was a Thanksgiving Day game or if it was one of the games, but we played Dallas and we were not even favored to win. And that defense destroyed the Cowboys. And I was like, oh, wow, that's fascinating. So, and I think Brian, you texted me, you're like, did you see the score? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not even watching it. And then I went and looked and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I was like, how are we up by that much? So it's, there's something about the Eagles that Vic Fangio being there should give Cowboy fans and a lot of people in that division some concern because he is very good.
He's very good. And I think a lot of people underlook it because they want to talk about Mikey Zimmerman to Dallas. Well, Vic Fangio is pretty dang good to the Eagles this year. I wonder why he only worked out 1 year for Miami. He was only there 1 year.
So that was a family thing.
Okay.
That was him wanting to be closer to family. His daughter or somebody lives in the area, and he, that was one of the reasons some people thought he was going to come back to Denver, and he decided not to. So, but yeah, besides the offense and the direction they go with the offense, and maybe even the drama that's going on there, still focus on, if that defense stops you and you just don't score, there's not much for the offense that needs to happen in order to get them over the mark and actually, score on you or whatever. But I'm telling you, that defense is going to be crazy.
Yeah, the Eagles have a good roster, and their owner is really aggressive, and they go out and they make moves, and they're going to fight for that division this year against Dallas. And a lot of people have put money on Dallas going under their win total this year. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, definitely. All right, headlines of the week, guys. We already talked about it a little bit. Brandon Aiyuk gets paid finally for the 49ers. John Lynch came on and said, some point, man, you just got to play some football. They get a deal done, 4-year, 120. This is, like I said, bad for the NFL and good for the 49ers because this guy opens that offense up a little more. They have another weapon they can use. There's talks and discussions already about moving on from Deebo Samuel and stuff like that. But I don't know. That's just a bunch of rumors going around, and we'll see who they might get. Sorry, but what do you guys think of Brandon Aiyuk? Is he a number one wide receiver on a different team? Do you think he's capable of being that guy?
No, I think my problem with the Brandon Aiyuk deal is signed the same deal they've been offering him for months, and why now? Why do we, he signs a deal that they've been offering him the whole time, and he needed to be in around the team and work in. I think he's a big part of that team. I think like Jeff said, I think we don't know what that team looks like. It's not there. I think he helps spread the field. He helps. He's a huge part of that offense. I'm telling you right now, he's the reason they won the NFC Championship game. That catch he made down the field, falling down, changed the entire complexity of the game. And if he doesn't make that catch, then I don't think the 49ers start on their run and win that football game.
Did y'all watch the wide receiver show on Netflix?
No, I need to watch that. And I did watch the
quarterback one,
the documentary on the quarterback, and there's another one out there about the Michigan, the whole Colin, deal that came out Tuesday. I need to watch.
If you go back, if you watch the wide receiver one was really good. I didn't really watch the quarterback one. In there, it shows because they go with Kittle and Deebo Samuel, both from 49ers, and it shows Aiyuk. He's real close with Deebo. He's real close with those guys. And sometimes losing a guy like that in the locker room that helps kind of, gel things together can be detrimental to the team. But he's real close to those guys. Like I said, it's good for the 49ers and it's bad for everybody else.
Yeah, and I think Ryan that was saying a low-end wide receiver one.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
No, I mean, yeah, and that's not a bad thing. They have so many weapons. I haven't even talked about Kittle, which is definitely something that, I mean, obviously, that was a huge piece of their offense. Sorry. And there was a fly there, so I was like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the 49ers Kittle adds an element that another weapon, another thing you have to look at, another thing you have to worry about, Deebo Samuel. I mean, I remember even some of the options that they had last year where at one point, I think it was during one of the playoff games, he starts a play where he's the running back. And I'm like, oh, like, what? I'm like, how crazy is that to think at any moment they could just be like, you know what, line up and go. And then like 2 plays later, he could just be going out for a catch. And it's like, what? And so you have a lot of weapons on there and you can't cover them all.
Yep.
So
Shanahan's great at using those and confusing defenses with them. All right, we had speaking of another little wide receiver debacle here, and I agree with Chase in this one. He showed up to practice 15 minutes late. He's holding maybe a hold in. They asked the coach if he's playing week 1. Coach says yes, and then he comes out and says, "I may have put my foot in my mouth. We don't know." Chase has looked at this offseason and said, "Hey, This guy's gotten paid. 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 I'm better than half of them. Where's my contract?
It's 2
Where's
years
my
away.
contract at?
That's where it's at.
He's 2 years away, but
Play
I
your,
don't know.
not how it works.
He's outplayed.
I didn't agree with Lamb, and Lamb still had a year on the deal.
Exactly. That's what these guys are doing.
A year though. A year.
The whole wide receiver group this year went off and got paid, and Chase is like, "Hey, I'm better than half these people, more than half these people. I'm top 3 in the league probably. Where's my contract at?" Do I think I don't think he holds out all year. I think he plays eventually. Then you worry about, is he going to come in and get hurt? Same way with the Cowboys. Is Lamb going to come in and pull a hammy in week 2 because
I'm afraid of it.
Go through. So
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean those are worries for the team. Those are worries for Cincinnati with this is Chase and him not playing. If he doesn't play week 1, week 2, what are we talking about here? Because
I didn't pick him fantasy football just because of that. I refused. I didn't pick Lamb because of it. You let it go down to the wire, and I just didn't.
You're right. You're gonna have a heart attack over here.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lamb and the Dallas Cowboys, they go ahead and sign Dalvin Cook to this running back room. It's interesting. Dalvin Cook is past his prime, I'd say. He's a little injury prone, but he's going to be your best running back in your running back room because the running backs you have are complete trash, including Ezekiel Elliott, garbage. And that should tell you anything. That the rumor was Mark McCarthy was mad that they didn't go get Zeke earlier in the offseason because he's that stupid. Zeke is terrible. He's a paperweight. He is first and goal on the 1. All right, let's put Zeke in. That's all he's good for. Anyways, but Dalvin Cook's going to be the best if he can stay healthy running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
I called this move probably a month ago. This running back room is not finished. Either Dalvin Cook or Kareem Hunt will be on this roster come the start of the season. And it's like he's in the best shape he's been in a couple of years. They say he was fighting a shoulder injury last year. He wasn't ready for the season, but he played anyway. If you read between the lines, 27 years old, north of 27 years old, with all the carries that he's had in the past, he's not going to be the same back, but he will be their number 1. I'm surprised they left him on the practice squad. They're going to have to him up and leave him there and cut somebody else off the thing, because if not, if he does come out here and he does perform, somebody will come grab him off the practice squad in a minute. We'll see what he does. I don't know if he'll be ready for week 1 or not. I don't know what shape he's in. We'll see.
Yeah, that might be a little hard for week 1, but you're playing a really good defense, so we'll see if they give him a little break. But he's going to be your number 1 guy. I don't know how healthy he's going to stay, and his consistency hasn't been there as far as staying on the field.
I'll entertain Ryan. Yes, Dalvin will cook and Zeke will eat.
Dalvin will cook. Zeke's going to eat, but he's going to be on the bench, and I'm telling you, Zeke's terrible.
He's just going to be in there for blocking plays.
Pretty much.
No, I'm kidding.
Hey, at least his last play as a Dallas Cowboy won't be that horrible fake that they did where he got blasted. That's the center.
Oh, man.
I read this story today. Packers and Eagles are supposed to play in Brazil Friday night next week. The second game to open up the NFL season, as Thursday night is the Chiefs and Ravens. But Friday, the Packers and Eagles are supposed to fly out to Brazil and play a game there. But there are massive wildfires in the area, in the city, and they're thinking about just canceling going to Brazil and just playing it here. I wish they would do that anyways. I don't want our first game being jet lagged over to Brazil, playing in some field where Jordan Love blows out his leg anyways because it's not up to par. I don't like the idea of playing overseas. Put us here in Philadelphia. It's the Eagles' home game anyways. We can all wear green and be okay. And I hope it does get. I don't want the fires to go on. That's not very good. I do hope it gets canceled and puts back over here against the Eagles, and we can play here in America. We're not jet lagged. But I mean, you guys don't want your team flying halfway around the world to play a football game. I mean, that's just a big disadvantage.
I'm so glad that the NFL has not put Dallas in any of these
They will.
Guam and Germany and where they start
Mexico.
at 9:00 in the morning, and
you gotta and then you gotta
leave
have
on Wednesday to get there because it's in a different time zone geographically.
You gotta have a police escort to the stadium.
Yeah.
Don't leave your hotels. You might get shot. Type of
Yeah.
No, let's not. Why are we doing that?
Yeah,
all right.
I will spread the brand of the NFL. No,
why?
stop.
But you know what?
It's
all money.
These fields
it's
are
all
made.
money.
Yes, but these fields are made of toothpicks and bubble gum. Just like the Hall of Fame game a few years ago. They're like, we're not playing on that. They're like, that football field is better than that. It's
When are we going to see an NFL team from Mexico? Because I think that's kind of what I
thought
I wouldn't even be surprised.
No, I honestly thought when they started doing this, that was the plan.
It's just I think there's going to be more of these kinds of games. I think there's going to be more games played in other countries, and
See, Mexico's fine because it's not far, but Brazil,
right? But I
England,
think this is not. This is going to continue. You're going to see more of these because I think they want to. That brand they're going to want to grow that as much as possible, and potentially have a team in another country, or it's just seems like that's where it's headed.
What's up, Jonathan Delgado? Hey, bud, how you been? Thanks for jumping on the show. Appreciate that, sir. Come join the show, comment live, and we'll talk sports.
Do we know is it just like a select games that are being played in like Europe and things like that, or is it just
well they just put it
out.
The
Broncos played last year and we got murdered. So
usually they send the Jaguars because they're one of the closest teams to that side. And there was rumors that Jacksonville might move over there and that'd be their home.
I mean, they played every year. They lose 2 home games a year. Hell, that one time I think they played back-to-back games there. I think they stayed for like 10 days or something. I don't know.
I'm fine. Like I said, I'm fine with Mexico because it's close. But going over, and as long as you get the field properly,
field conditions. I just don't.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, I could definitely see
soccer stadiums.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is those I'm not up for those games. Like when the Broncos played, I didn't even watch it. I was like, I don't care.
I got to wake up at 8 o'clock to watch.
I'm not going to wake up at a weird time.
That's my one day to sleep in. I mean.
Yeah. And so then
and the Brazil game's on Peacock next Friday. So if you don't got Peacock, you can't watch it. And it's supposed to be at 7 or 8 o'clock p.m. here.
Luckily,
so
we have a
I don't know what time. I don't know what time it is there. Yeah. Well, I do have Peacock too, but yes, you're correct.
Well, and the other thing too is I think not just with Mexico, but I could even see just like how baseball has it. There's a team in Canada. It's like, here's, so I mean, I know what the NFL's possibly trying to do, and it just seems like they're going to add a team or two here at one point, and I'm just
all right, Craig. Before we jump into our last kind of big event here, or big headline here, go ahead. Let's talk about the NHL death. You want to give some time to that? Unfortunately, some sad news.
When I laid down last night, I started to see bits of it, and I was like, all right, this is not like somebody's hoaxing, there's no way. And I started researching it this morning, and Johnny Gaudreau, who has been like 11 seasons, he's 31 years old, signed a huge deal with Columbus, started his career in Calgary, like a 7-time All-Star. Years ago, he was percentage points behind for the MVP of the league, behind Connor McDavid. This kid's just been a stud since he hit the ground, and supposedly him and his brother are out riding bikes the day before they're supposed to be groomsmen in his sister's wedding. His wife's supposed to be a bridesmaid, and a drunk driver comes around and smashes them both and kills them. And
my gosh,
he's 31, his brother's 29, and when these things stop, Had a huge life. He's got 2 young kids. He's got a young wife. Now his sister probably has to change her entire wedding. I mean, are you going to get married the day after your brother and your 2 brothers pass away? Well, they're supposed to be in your wedding, and your anniversary every year is going to be the anniversary of your brother's tragic death. Never think of that when you go out riding mountain bikes and
Yeah.
they're probably just out having a good time and trying to get some exercise or whatever they were trying to do and
Sightsee or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Just enjoying their life.
Yeah, just enjoying family. They probably said, "Hey guys, we'll be right back. We'll be back in an hour."
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, everybody's life is different, all because
Some moron
somebody
decided
to and I just things like this you hear about them, you don't think they're real, you don't think they happen, and then they do, and I mean that changes several lives, but it changes an entire hockey club. Now they got this guy, he's their leader, their captain, their stud. They built the team around him and think they're going to have a starting to come and build a team, and now he's just tragically killed, and they get nothing. It's not like a trade or a deal where they get something in return. They get nothing in return. Like you now have to fill 115 points in your roster, and oh, by the way, hockey starts in 2 weeks. Ready, break. I mean, and this was such a deal. This hit such home that almost every NFL or NHL team posted condolences and stuff on their personal sites today. The Stars,
Yeah.
the Blackhawks, teams that would compete and go against Columbus were like, we feel terrible for you. Like
I know the Red Wings
yeah,
did.
yeah. I mean, Dallas put a deal out. The Red Wings put a deal out. I mean, Johnny Gaudreau was just a good-hearted young kid who has 2 kids under the age of 4 that now don't ever get to see their dad again. And I mean, I'm sure the NHL makes it right and pays his contract out and whatever, but it doesn't bring this kid back. And
Yeah.
so I don't know.
It doesn't add up at the end. That's sad. Very tragic story for the NHL family and their family, and because people made a very bad decision. That's all right. Well, before we end it, guys, I got one more headline. We're going to talk about the college football games. Their college football's back. I stayed up last night and watched North Dakota State face Colorado, hoping that Colorado would lose. They ended up winning because North Dakota State couldn't block nobody. I mean, it looked like the Packers Cowboys playoff game. There was guys 20 yards wide open down the field, no one near him.
Well, Hunter made
insane
catch. So.
Is that the one where he pushed off?
No, I think he was covered and he made some awkward contorted catch behind or around.
Well,
it was like, what is that?
Maybe it wasn't a push off. He kind of stopped and the guy went by him or whatever, and it was a hell of a throw. It was the only where he could catch it.
I was watching. I was all right. Let's go North Dakota State. They were moving the ball, but their defense could not block. I mean, guys are wide open. I'm like, gosh, it was crazy.
They didn't fix the defense.
Good game though.
They didn't fix the
defense. But it was a good game all around. We got college football tomorrow. We got Georgia and Clemson. Number 1 Georgia versus number 14 Clemson. I called it last week. I said the upset's coming. Give me Clemson over Georgia. I don't know if it'll happen, but I just like to call the upset. I think Clemson's getting underlooked a lot, and Georgia, they're number 1. But
week 1.
We'll see. They lose week 1. You got Penn State versus West Virginia, and Penn State should handle the business, but West Virginia's kind of the team like Georgia Tech who beat Florida State. They're kind of a thorn. Then let's look at the other ones. Texas plays Colorado State. That should be an easy win for them. Bama's got nobody. Miami versus Florida right off the gate. 2 rivalries facing head-to-head. They don't like each other. Miami's ranked number 19. Florida is unranked. That should be a pretty good one to watch as well.
Michigan's big test comes in week 2.
The biggest game, yeah, it does. The biggest game tomorrow is Notre Dame number 7 at Texas A&M at number 20. That should be a
what time is that game on?
Pretty good game. The game's at 6:30 on ABC, so that's the late game. That's the late game. Yeah, I'll be at the Ranger game tomorrow night.
Well, no, Michigan plays at 6:30, so guess I won't.
I'll have to.
You watch.
I'll have to record that one.
I guess, yeah.
And then picture in picture. No.
Oh, that's good call, Jeff.
You can.
That's what we're doing.
Sunday, September 1st, because there's no football on yet. You got USC at number 23 taking on LSU at number 13. A nice game for Sunday as we're having family over. We're going to smoke some ribs. Hopefully my smoker works and watch this football game. Those are the big games, and I'm ready for it, man. I'm going shopping early in the morning tomorrow so I can be back and watch as much football as I can until I get to go to the Ranger game tomorrow night.
So you're not excited for when's TCU playing?
They're playing right now. They're playing
right
Stanford.
Now, yeah.
Oh, dang, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got 2 Friday night games this season. This week and then about mid-season.
Yeah. Now, college game day, everyone said TCU will have a way better year this year. And
I don't think you can.
I don't think
you can have a worse year. I mean, they only won 3 games,
4 games last year. Yeah, but they weren't talking they're going to win 5. They were talking like, okay, they're going to put a good season together. Not saying they're going to make no playoffs or be in the top 15, but we'll see. They got a good head coach, but I'm excited for football. I'm excited it's back. Next week, guys, we go back to 2 episodes a week, Tuesday and Saturday. It's only on Friday night because I got to go to the baseball game tomorrow. And then next Saturday, we're probably going to do a morning show, because Craig's got to be gone that evening. And I can't do it Friday. So we're going to do it Saturday morning.
Can't do it Friday because the Packers play. So
Packers play, and I'm not
going to... No podcasting.
Nope.
Watching.
No podcasting.
Packers football.
Well, I may not be on.
Oh, that's right.
I have my in-laws.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm sorry. No, I'm joking.
Saturday morning.
So we'll do them Saturday morning. Brian says hook them. Who do you play? Oh, you play Colorado State. Then you play Michigan week 2, right? Yeah. You're not gonna do much better in the SEC.
Come to the big house.
Yeah. All right. Let's throw this question around, and we're already an hour and a half into the episode.
Yeah, some of us have to work tomorrow.
Jeff, what is in your locker this weekend?
Nothing much, just work. I did some volunteer deal for work. So we went to like a food bank and like helped them out, which was kind of cool. It was like kind of set up like a grocery store. So I went there at like 9 and then like left at like 11. But it was me and 4 or 5 other people and helped them sort some stuff. And it was like a partnership that we do. So since we basically our agricultural company, like, it's like something that we give back kind of deal. So that was cool. Got to, one of the things I had to do was check the eggs and see if they're good, not good, that kind of thing. So now I know how to thoroughly check the eggs at the grocery store when they ask you.
Actually what you're looking for other than just
yeah. I'm like, did you check them? In the past I was like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. They're not broken.
So
we're good. They're not broken.
Yeah.
Did that and had some fun doing that, and then it was busy at work, so especially today was kind of felt long because I get Monday off, so I'm just nice. I'm like this today kind of dragged, but then Thursday and Friday I get Thursday and Friday I get off as well because I requested off because the in-laws are in town, so.
Just gonna work like a day.
I'm
you're in the Brian.
Yeah,
Watson,
pretty much.
the Brian Watson work program. I see. Love it.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No days off. No.
So yeah, just trying to get through this last little stretch of heat.
Yeah. Hey, we get a cool front. It's gonna be 85 on Monday.
So yeah, getting ready for football. I mean, it's especially NFL. Like we have to wait another week, basically. So, well, if your team's playing on Sunday, so not looking forward to trying to see what the Broncos are going to do. Kind of it. I watched actually right before this. I watched I think it was a Frontline whatever about CTEs. Was done a while back, but It was, yeah, it
There's
was
so much I
interesting.
want to watch. I want to watch the documentary on the Michigan scandal. I've got the wide receiver deal I want to watch.
Yeah, below that,
Air McNair.
It was
well,
on
I saw
YouTube.
the McNair one. I went after the podcast last week. I went directly downstairs and watched it.
Yeah, it's good.
So what I watched it on was they had the whole hour and 20 on YouTube, and then right underneath that it was the Houston Astros scandal. I was like, I'm definitely going to be watching that.
On there too.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It was. I was like, dang, it's a whole episode. So yeah, it was kind of cool. So I watched that a little bit, and I'm trying to remember the player's name. I don't know why I'm blanking, but he played for the Chargers. They found out he ended up having CTE.
Oh, Junior Seau?
Junior Seau.
That's it.
And he killed himself?
Yeah. So, yeah. So there was a lot of players that either did that, killed themselves. Like, you know, it was weird. And I was like, that's wild.
I'm waiting for the day that comes out about Jim McMahon. He is so bad. I'm waiting for the day that thing.
Brett Favre's working on something. I don't know if he's going to be in a show about CTE or he's actually producing a show or movie about CTE. So that's been a big topic going on lately.
Yeah, and the other thing too is they ended up talking about a college player from Penn State who also ended up, offing himself, and they even when they went and looked at his brain, he was already showing signs of that.
Yeah, no, I guarantee.
Like, wow.
I guarantee Favre. I guarantee probably Montana, Elway. They've all had some form of it.
As Steve Young was one of the guys they were talking to, and then there was also a high school kid that something ended up happening with him.
Would not be shocked.
And they checked his brain, and the doctor was shocked. I was like, wow.
Signs of it.
I was like, that's crazy in high school. I'm like, well, so I watched that a little bit before I came on, and that's kind of it, though. What's in your locker, Craig?
I work tomorrow, not for very long. I should be done by noon, and then it's college football the rest of the day, and then maybe tomorrow night after the Michigan game, I might catch a couple of these documentaries because, like I said, I've been wanting to watch these, and Sunday will be just a day to recover. Weeks will be long, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I finally think it's not a train this time. So we will see. I know. I'm just gonna enjoy some time off. Monday shouldn't be too bad. Got to work, but there shouldn't be a lot of traffic. Shouldn't be a lot of things open, and it should be a shorter day. So, what about you?
Well, tomorrow's college football, so I'm going early in the morning to get my grocery shopping out of the way, test my smoker out. Hopefully, it starts working, and I can smoke some ribs on Sunday, and have the family over for Memorial Day weekend.
Was it broken?
Yeah, and I don't know why. It would say pellet air, but there would be plenty of pellets in there. It wouldn't say, it didn't give me no logger jam. I had pulled out the logger, the auger. I pulled all that out, emptied the pellets, plugged it back in. So I got to go get some more pellets to test it tomorrow, and hopefully that's what works. If not, then it's probably the motor. And motor is only like $25 on Amazon, but I won't be eating ribs on Sunday if not. So hoping it works. I want to smoke some ribs for the family because they're delicious. Going to the Ranger game tomorrow night with a buddy of mine who is from church, and Bernie, thank you so much. He gets me in free. He works for the nonprofit there. They do a lot of charity stuff for the Rangers and the charity that the Rangers give back to the community. He's a big part of that. He gets in free and gets me half off of everything in the stadium. Half off food, half off merchandise. So I appreciate him taking me there tomorrow night. It's going to be, our season's done. The Rangers aren't going to go anywhere. They're done. It's in a discussion. They just lost tonight to the Oakland Athletics 9-2. We were hanging close with the worst team in baseball. So that's a little frustrating, but it's still fun to go to the games and be at the ballpark.
Travis Jankowski makes the catch of the season, and the next day they put him on waivers.
My gosh. Yeah. Did you see that catch, Jeff?
No, I didn't.
Bottom. It's top. It's the bottom of the ninth. 2 out or 1 out. 2 runners on. A guy cranks a 3-run shot. It looks like it's
going to be a walk-off. He's 2
It's
foot
gonna be
over the
walk-off.
wall into
He
the
jumps
bullpen.
up, catches it, and they ended up winning the game 4-3. It was a great catch, and then they put him on waivers the next day. But it's still fun to go to the games and be at the ballpark. It's always a great atmosphere, and it'll be fun tomorrow night. And then Sunday, cooking some ribs, hopefully. Fingers crossed that my smoker works. Gonna have the family over, my brother's over, hang out, watch some football, and get ready for next week. Monday, like Craig said, Monday's trash will be light, and hopefully it's a lot better money than most, and then go from there. But other than that, I've had a pretty good week this week. College football to finish it up, and I
Yeah.
told my wife it's that part of the year you don't like that I'm going to be watching a lot of football. So, all right, guys. Well, it's been an excellent show tonight. I want to thank again Paul for jumping on the show. And if you guys are Bears fans, go check out his Bearski Film page on YouTube. There's a lot of work for them. Come click subscribe, like our show. We'll be on mostly Tuesdays and Saturday nights, and we'll get kicking off for the NFL season. All right, guys. God bless, and remember,
Keep it outspoken.
Keep it outspoken.